Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. To Henry. Quick snap. Breeze. Pass is incomplete. No flag for Tommy Lee Lewis.
Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Skipper going free to the 30. To the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on the New England.
The Bengals have finally won a playoff game for the first time since text message became a thing. You know, we saw, honestly, I'm going to be real with that, this wildcard round really wasn't all that great. We got like 2 good games out of 6, but you know, it is what it is because none of that matters because the only thing that truly matters this week is that he's back. Ladies and gentlemen, little round of applause. Alex Croft is making his return to the show. And Alex, we want to talk about where you've been. We're just going to focus on the now and welcome back, first of all. It's really great to have you. I was able to hold down the fort on my own, but buyers selling with the blanks back. So, you know, it's a party.
You know, I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit here, Ross. And first of all, I appreciate the fans for, patiently waiting for the return. I know that it's been a long couple of weeks with just Ross rowing the boat, but man, his arms are tired and we are ready to come in, bring in the righty. Let's get it going. His arms are way bigger than mine, so he was the only one that could have steered that ship while I was gone, but I am ready to get back, ready to talk about some NFL football. And I want to correct one thing that you said already, Ross. And you said that, only 2 out of the 6 games were good. But I have one simple question. Actually, 2 questions here. It's a 2-parter. Okay. Did you watch all of the football games this weekend?
Duh.
Would you rather have been watching anything else but NFL football games?
I will get you on one thing. By the time it got to the end of the Bills and Patriots game, I was fully invested into UFC of Vegas 46.
Okay, that is fair, but you also did miss history because the Bills put on a historic performance and you did not get to tune into the tail end of that. So you just have to sit there.
I did not. Hey, I'll also get you again. I did not miss history because why do you think I have so many monitors?
Okay, I forgot.
I was able to watch. I was looking at one screen. I was seeing one dude get his ass whipped, which of course you continue to UC Talk 274 coming out later this week to get our thoughts on that one. There's my easy plug. But I was watching one dude get his ass whooped. Then I turn my head to the left. I see the whole team getting their ass whooped. Yeah. I was like, oh, what a night.
I mean, it's just a whole theme of just people getting embarrassed on national TV, and that is exactly what happened way too often this weekend. But I am, for one, never going to complain about more football, and B, never going to complain about the right team winning a football game, especially in the playoffs.
That is 100% correct. And all 6 of the right teams won.
Correct.
I think we could absolutely say that. I was wrong about one of them, but, 5 or 6, it is what it is ultimately. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into our super wild card recap. You have to throw the word super in now because, branding purposes. It probably makes more money for the NFL because super.
I think Roger Goodell would actually cancel the show if you didn't save Super Wildcard Weekend. So I'm glad we checked that box there.
Oh, I'm so glad Goodell isn't coming after us because he definitely doesn't have way more worrying things to think about, like the officiating. But besides that, where we're going to take a look at each of the 6 games. Got a question for each one of those. Like I said, buy or sell is back. We're going to see if Alex wants to buy it or sell it.
I got my wallet ready, Ross.
You got the wallet ready?
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
and it's full.
All I know is that's what you've been doing. That's what you've been up to.
I've been accumulating all my money so I can buy more of these statements because I've been selling a lot lately.
That boy been going to the Wonder Bread factory because he has hella bread now. All right. And what the blank? Because, Alex, we got 3 statements for him, and he's going to fill in the blank. And, of course, end of the week. Try and true, the classic.
Got
it. The penultimate way to end each show. We're going to do that. Of course, just real quick, catch all of our NFL stuff over at thefourthlong.com/NFL. Or a cool thing now, if you're just into the audio stuff, if you don't want to watch the video on YouTube, on Rumble, on even Spotify, you can still catch just the audio. Don't even need to go to a streaming service, just thefourthlong.com. We're streaming it right to the website now. I made an improvement. All right, so a little pat on the back for me. Business is booming. Of course, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. UFC Talk coming out later this week. Last Friday, we dropped the 4th episode of Card Stonks, all these playoff players that you need to get your hands on. So it's going to be a great time. But Alex, there's no need to dilly-dally. We need to get right back into things. And the way we're going to start is by talking about the Bengals and the Raiders. Because like I said, for the first time in 31 years, the Bengals have won the playoff game. And it's almost all thanks to the new, Alex, you might hate me for this because you're a Niner fan, but the new Joe Cool. Let's talk about Joe Burrow, his sick sunglasses, also his sick, this guy's freaking amazing.
His aura is just sick. Joe Burrow is just a cool-ass dude. And
I want to be friends with him, man. So bad.
Okay, quick shameless plug for Joe Burrow. My roommate in college, Michael Germano, actually was childhood friends with Joe Burrow growing up. He was a year older than Joe Burrow. Both of their dads Michael's dad was the defensive line coach, and Joe's dad was the defensive coordinator at Ohio University, the Bobcats. And they were really good friends growing up. And Germano was actually the starting quarterback his sophomore year, and Joe Burrow was his backup as a freshman. So that is his claim to fame. And he said that, exactly how you'd imagine. Joe Burrow was that kid growing up that was good at baseball, football, basketball, soccer, dodgeball, squash, pickleball, anything that you guys did that was competitive or athletic. Joe Burrow was just better than everyone else at. He was cooler than everyone else. He's clearly taken that into the NFL. I have a little man crush on Joe Burrow. The dude is just exactly what you want from an outside the playing field perspective as a quarterback. He's tough as nails. He's a leader. He gets it. He is extremely intelligent, and guys love to play with him and love to work for him. And you can see that with Jamar Chase almost begging and pleading to get to the Bengals this year, and everyone was ripping them for not taking Penei Sewell. And I might have been in that camp too because I thought that he needed some protection, but little did I know that the Joe Burrow-Jamar Chase connection was going to be the next big thing for 10, 15 years. But Joe Burrow can take this team far. I don't know if it's going to be this year because of that offensive line trouble. And when they do go against the Titans do not have a great defensive line. They're not going to be able to generate pressure like the other teams, but they are going to be able to completely deflate the ball. Deontay Foreman and Derrick Henry are both monsters in the backfield, and they are going to be able to just...
Foreman totally took over in Derrick Henry's absence.
Well, Deontay Foreman was one of those guys in college and in high school that was always one of the highest rated recruits and always had a ton of talent, but just had a lot of off-field issues. And you land on your third team and you get into a place like Tennessee with Mike Vrabel running the show, and especially with a guy like Derrick Henry as the person you're kind of emulating your game after, and seeing that professional and that guy who doesn't say anything bad to the media, never has any sort of gripes or any sort of complaints or anything that from his teammates, anything like that. So great person to model yourself after. But I think Joe Burrow can take the Bengals far. I don't think that it's this year, though.
It is a really good test for the against the Tennessee Titans and for the Tennessee Titans coming up this weekend as well. The last 3 times that Tennessee has been the only 3 times actually, because the Oilers were a thing. The 3 times that Tennessee has been a 1 seed, or this is now the 3rd time. First one was like 2000, then there's the early 2000s. In both times they've lost to the Baltimore Ravens. So they're not playing the Ravens this time, so I think they're good. It is going off of patterns. And the best part about this game was the NFL ineptitude. I highlighted that before we started. We all know the play where Joe Burrow's foot was not out of bounds. He threw a touchdown to, I think it might have been Jamar Chase there. I forget exactly who it was. It might have been T. Higgins, actually, because it's really normally one of those two catching everything. But they blew the ball dead before the receiver caught the ball in the end zone. So initially they called it no touchdown, but then they called it a touchdown. But the stupid thing about it is that the touchdown is still the right call, but their description of it was stupid because essentially it was, we blew the play dead, but it shouldn't have been blown dead. Therefore, it's okay. So essentially in the NFL, you do 2 wrong things, you get it right, and that's just a state of officiating that we're in the modern day. And
I mean, Jerome Boger just had an absolute weekend for him. I mean, just a nightmare Saturday. I mean, you had New York calling in and correcting calls that they were making on the field. You had them after the game come out and say Jerome Boger's officiated his last playoff game for this year and hopefully moving forward. And the best part about their explanation of it is they just assume that everyone that's an NFL fan that watched the game is an idiot and didn't hear the whistle, because they're just trying to essentially say, oh, no, that didn't happen. Like, you didn't see anything, sir or man. And that's just
crazy.
That's just a wild stance to take when, like, you can't expect to get away with that, can you? I don't know what their end game is, but I
guess they can. You throw enough Alex, you throw enough. They saw this problem with Dan Snyder, the Washington football team. You throw enough money at something, it's going to be okay.
I mean, that's very true.
Speaking about the football team, I love how they used to have on the same team. They had Sean McVay, they had Matt LaFleur, and they had Kyle Shanahan. You guys are.
Did you see the stat as well that Tom Brady is if Tom Brady was a head coach, he would be the oldest head coach in the NFC playoffs right now?
That's
nuts. I mean,
if you want that is my favorite Tom Brady age.
Not including Bruce Arians, by the way.
Yeah. It's because Bruce Arians is
a dinosaur.
He's up there, but he's still working for now. This was a weird game. There's some more, I guess, officiating shenanigans when we get to that Rams and Cardinals game, so we'll get to that in a moment. Next game we need to talk about, though, is the last one that was on Saturday night. It was the Bills absolutely handing the Patriots ass in a nicely wrapped gift basket with a little bit of fruit, some soap in there, some lavender, and they said, here, Bill Belichick, get your ass to the couch because we're taking over the playoffs now. And I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting 7 offensive drives, 7 touchdowns. Their punter even made his NFL debut, or a playoff debut. In his playoff debut, he doesn't even see the field.
I mean, there's
one of mistake from Bill Belichick.
There was so many ridiculous stats that came from this game of they had more touchdowns than third downs. Josh Allen had more touchdowns than incompletions. It was essentially a perfect offensive game by the Bills. And they missed 2 extra points, which is the funnier part, but by far, is they couldn't even get the 49, which is just such an appealing score to look at when it's 7 touchdowns. But the craziest part about this game too was the elements that they did it in. It wasn't raining, it wasn't overly windy, but it was -4 degrees on the field, and Josh Allen was slicing and dicing these guys like it was
it the Viagra?
And sunny, and yeah, it was ridiculous.
Answer that question, Alex. Did Josh Allen take Viagra? Your thoughts?
He might be Viagra. He could be Viagra, and right as the game starts, he goes into action and he just gets fully erect into the end zone, and that's
they were wearing their home blues.
That's what he did all freaking day. Is he was surgical in the pass game. He made so many people miss in the backfield. That first touchdown to Dawson Knox was absolutely incredible. He had no business getting out of that pocket and was able to find him in the back of the end zone for a touchdown on the first drive. And at that point, you kind of knew, okay, Josh Allen's playing a different ball game here, and there's no one on the Patriots defense that can tackle him or keep him contained inside the pocket. So I honestly think this was more of the Bills playing to their utmost potential. You saw Emmanuel Sanders get involved. You saw Gabe Davis get involved. Dawson Knox. Stephon Diggs is always going to be a stud and a difference maker. Devin Singletary is going to be a great factor in the run game.
Sanders?
And you also had Josh Allen just dominating people in the run game, bowling people over like a 280-pound bowling ball running down the right side. And I just think they played an absolute perfect game on offense, and it's very impressive to do against this Patriots team that even though they don't have the horses on the front 7 like they normally do, it's still a Bill Belichick coach team, and the Bills didn't turn the ball over, didn't punt, didn't kick a field goal, faced 5 first downs the entire game. They just pitched a perfect game, and so I'm not going to take too much against this. I don't think the Patriots were very good, but this was a perfect game by the Bills, and they deserved every bit of it.
Absolutely. I love that touchdown pass to Dawson Knox where I I saw real time. I was like, ain't no way that Josh Allen actually thought he was going to complete that. I make my case on Twitter, which I do a lot. I'm very vocal, and I tweet way too much. But you're going to get my thoughts on everything there. Of course, you followed me at Fourth Log Radio. Man, I'm so good at plugging. But I even put like a little reply on it. I said, ain't no way Josh Allen thought he was complete this ball. A few people had to hit me in the reply saying I'm stupid, essentially. And the way Alex, the next day, Josh Allen comes out with the interview saying, oh, yeah, I thought I was throwing the ball away. I don't know why people are cheering.
Yeah, I mean, you knew.
I get these things right, Alex.
You can see it.
I don't know what to say.
Did you? So here's my move. I would have then replied to all the replies and just with that interview, just the clip.
What do you think I did?
Okay, I'm glad. I'm really glad you did that because that's two peas in a pod right there.
And hands, I'll give one of them a hand because they did admit when they were wrong. I was like, fair play. I respect that. You don't get that too often on Twitter.
No, you don't.
Right? So, the more Bills Mafia, still the best people off the field and also on Twitter, apparently, too. Good fan base there. One of the useless games of the week was the Bucs versus Eagles. This was a big old game where I really can't take anything away from it too much. Ultimately, the Eagles weren't really a solid playoff team. They were one where I guess they can make the upset because they have a good run game, but then that got shut down. And also, it's Tom Brady in the first round. Tom Brady's not going to lose a first round football game in the playoffs. All right, that's just not a thing that really happens. And then the Bucs just subsequently run through the Eagles. And is this Bucs team better than the one that we saw last year?
Absolutely not. I think this Eagles team is just very, very bad. They're definitely the good bad team of the NFL this year, and they beat up on the really bad teams and could not sniff a victory against any of the good teams. So
literally, yeah. They had not a single win against playoff teams.
Yep, that's what the Eagles did. I mean, they played in a horrible division. They beat up on those teams in the division. They didn't do well last year, so they had a favorable schedule coming into 2021. So they took advantage of the teams they were better than, and against the teams they were worse than, they got absolutely trounced. And that's what's going to happen with a Jalen Hurts team. He's not the guy that's going to be able to bring you back from a deficit. He's not going to tear you up through the air. He is not going to not turn the ball over. That's just kind of what he does.
And let me throw a question your way then real quick.
Yeah.
Would Eagles have had a better chance of winning this game if Gardner Minshew was the quarterback?
100%. They would have. It's just the way the offense is run with Jalen Hurts. If you don't get a lead in the first quarter, he is not going to be good. The only times he was effective this year is if he was with a lead, they were running the ball well, or if it was a 30 or 20 point deficit and he was playing in garbage time and he could actually throw with no one jamming his receivers and he could just kind of dice people because they're playing such off coverage. But Gardner Minshew actually gives them the ability to open up the entire offense. Jalen Hurts does not use the middle of the field whatsoever. His only throws he can make are flat routes and balls down the sideline because he's got no ability to read the middle of the field. He'd much rather run and take off. So Gardner Minshew would then bring into play the fact that you have Dallas Goedert, one of the most athletic tight ends in the game. You have Devontae Smith.
Imagine they didn't trade Zach Ertz.
It's crazy. Like, they have a ton of weapons, but Jalen Hurts.
Well, you run a 2 tight end set without Zach Ertz. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know who their backup tight end is anymore. But they just don't have the horses to be able to play the type of game that you need to beat the Bucs. And when they got down 17-0 early in the game was over. And I don't think this means that the Eagles can't win a game with Jalen Hurts, because if you want to go 500 or maybe a little bit above it and potentially go back to the playoffs again, use your picks, build around the team. If he's got a better offensive line and better defensive playmakers, he's not going to put you in a position to lose many games, but he just can't go out there and win a lot of games. So I don't think the Bucs are better than they are last year. I know I kind of went in on the Eagles, but the Bucs they don't have the weapons that they did last year. Their 2 offensive tackles just got hurt. Tristan Wirfs is in a walking boot right now. If he doesn't play, I think the Bucs are going to be in a lot of trouble.
Especially that front 7 for the Rams. And Bob Miller.
Yeah.
Watch out, because Bob Miller's getting hot.
He's been playing well.
He's getting, I think, he has 6 sacks in the last 5 games.
Yeah. He's been playing very well.
You don't want to play against a hot Von Miller. The last time he was in the playoffs, he won Super Bowl MVP.
Yep.
And he still is that kind of guy. Well, maybe not like, maybe he's not exactly.
He's
that
probably
good,
90% of what he was.
Exactly. That is a scary thought. Also, their center went down too, so big holes there. And I mean, literally, your two most important offensive linemen, the center and the blindside tackle.
Yeah, no, he's the right tackle, but
right tackle.
But he is the best right tackle in the game, hands down, and especially with and when you have,
dude, imagine having him and Trent Williams on your offensive line.
Oh my gosh, I mean, if
ain't no such thing as a pass rush,
we really could have. Oh my gosh. But I mean, in that draft though, if we draft Tristan Wirfs, there's no chance we're trading for Trent Williams. It's the same year we got those guys. So
exactly.
Pump the brakes on that big guy.
You could dream.
But yeah, I mean the Bucs, they're not better than last year, but they're good enough to be in these games, and them against the Rams is going to be a great matchup. I think it benefits the Bucs that it's going to be in Tampa again. I don't know how that secondary is going to hold up against the Rams. It's going to be tough.
Especially apparently OBJ's back. But the thing with the Eagles, though, in the quarterback situation, I absolutely believe that if Gardner Minshew was in Philadelphia first, he would be the starting quarterback.
100%.
The only reason Jalen Hurts,
he's just a better quarterback. And if
the only reason Jalen Hurts is starting over Gardner Minshew is because they drafted him.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. There's pressure on the coaching staff. There's pressure to live up to, we used a draft pick on him. We have to use him.
Yep.
And now I'm not sure if I actually agree with that mentality because that's widespread across the league.
Yep.
If you had the better player, play the better player.
Yep.
I don't think that's a hot take.
Play the better, cheaper player.
That one too.
Yeah.
That one too. And that's why teams should be trading for Gardner Minshew this offseason. In particular, I do think the Denver Broncos should be up there. If
Steelers.
Yes, exactly. I was about to say, there ain't no way I'm riding with Mason Rudolph. I'm sorry. No. Get. I was trying to say it last offseason too. Get Gardner Minshew in the Pittsburgh Steelers uniform, all right? Because maybe Steelers to the Super Bowl could actually happen there.
Okay.
Hey, I want to see Gardner Minshew and TJ Watt on the same team because that is magic. But one of the last games, or one of the other games on the Sunday, was yours truly, the San Francisco 49ers going into Dallas, into Jerry's Dome. And what I was saying is I was happy. One of the things I keyed in on with this game and the matchup that you need to focus on is going to be the 49ers defense versus the Cowboys offense, because the 49ers defense, third best in the league in yards and points per game, giving about 21. Cowboys offense, first in yards per game and points at about 31. The 49ers defense absolutely handled business, and the play calling for the Cowboys wasn't necessarily perfect. So just real quick, what are your thoughts on that end game sequence with the whole draw, slide, miss, and just kind of ruin the game at that point?
I'll be honest with you. I think the majority of the blame falls on Dak. I don't think the play call was bad. I don't understand why you wouldn't just take two shots at the end zone from the 40. But if you they might have had a specific play from the 25 or the 30-yard line that they felt good about, that they had one crack at. We want to run this play, and I don't blame them for wanting to get closer in that aspect. A couple things that went wrong. Dak should have slid significantly sooner because the
as soon as he got the
yards
first
was not worth it. Two, you have to know the rule, Dak. He just the way he acted and the way he looked, he was so flustered. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't know that he had to hand the ball to the umpire, who has to set the ball down. It's never been different in any form of football. The umpire has to have the ball and set it down, because then the center would just be running around all over the place, setting the ball wherever he wants to. That's not rocket science, Dak. And
take notes from Larry Fitzgerald.
It's crazy.
The master.
Take it to him.
Yes. And Larry Fitzgerald's a master of that. We've seen so many times where he grabs the ball, shoves it into the ref's chest, it gets on the line. It's perfect.
It's what a smart player would do, and Dak was just so perplexed and so flustered at the end of that game. He didn't know what he was doing, clearly. You have to know that rule. He was even looking around like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what's happening. He didn't know the ref was coming up behind him. So anyone who's saying that's the ref's fault, no, he's doing his freaking job. That's what he's supposed to do. And Dak was playing horribly the entire game throughout there. It was an absolute gift that they had a chance to win the game at the end, and that was just because Jimmy G is going to make that one play every single game that you're going to be like, what in the world is he doing? And he did it, and it was at a horrible time. And I think the first 3 drives of the game for the Niners, they dominated the Cowboys, and they were only up 13 points. And right when they kicked that third or the second field goal to go up 13-0, I wasn't comfortable with it. But the 49ers, just their game plan was incredible. The way they used Debo, the way they used Elijah Mitchell, the way they used IU and George Kittle as a blocker. He had 1 target today or on Sunday, and he was the best blocker on the field by far. And
George Kittle is hands down the best blocking tight end in the league.
Yeah, 100%. He's the best blocking skill position player I've ever seen. Actually, him and Hines Ward are 2 of the absolute best. But
him pancaking people in the end zone, it gets me going.
His block that he had on Micah Parsons on the first drive, I don't know if you saw this play, but it was the Elijah Mitchell. Oh my gosh, he went right up the B gap, and George Kittle comes across the field, plows through Micah Parsons, and opens up a hole 10 yards wide for him to go through. It was
George Kittle's amazing.
Football.
Also, Debo Samuel, you weren't here for my campaign, but I never said he was going to be MVP. But I said dark horse MVP and the guy that should be in the conversation, Debo Samuel. I was saying that for like the last 5-6 weeks of the season because he can gash a defensive wide receiver. Apparently, he can throw for touchdowns too. And you line him up in the backfield as a running back, and he's scoring 30-yard touchdowns.
He's just like running the football. He's just better than everyone else. He's stronger. He's faster. He's quick. He sees holes that are way different than everyone else.
It's not like he used a huge frame either. It's a hard target to tackle.
Yeah, he's just a dog. He's just a dog, and I would kill to have Debo Samuel on my team. I'm glad he's on the 49ers, but I'm
also really happy with how Kyle Shanahan's actually been able to absolutely utilize every aspect about him because a lot of it is his playmaking ability.
Yeah.
But you have to give credit to the actually coaching, be able to put him in those positions.
Yeah. I have a little bit of a gripe here with Kyle Shanahan. And I think this was kind of a theme throughout the entire playoffs this last week. But we saw a considerable amount of coaches and of teams going for it on multiple 4th down situations all throughout the game. And, this trend was kind of in an uncontrollable spiral. And all it took was the playoffs to come in, a little bit of pressure to come in, and none of these coaches wanted to go for it. And when they were on the plus side of the field, 4th and 4, 4th and 3 from the 43, 42-yard line, punt, 31-yard line, 4th and 1, punt, or kick a field goal. And Kyle Shanahan was playing the game so conservatively. I don't think you needed to play it like that because A, your defense was smashing the Cowboys offense. They didn't have a pulse. And B, you could have got 2 yards whenever you wanted to if you just hand the ball to Debo Samuel. So I don't agree with a lot of Kyle Shanahan's decision making. I think he needs to open it up, and especially against the Packers when he does that.
Yes.
I just thought at the end of the game they played not to lose, and I'm not a huge fan of that at all. It's kind of consistent with what Kyle Shanahan's done in the playoffs in the past 28-3.
I was going to bring it up, but there you go. It's not like he's Kyle Shanahan is not accustomed to blowing leads in the Super Bowl. That's for sure. Hopefully, he might get a little bit of redemption this season. We'll see how far they go. Now, it kind of similar to the whole Bucs versus Eagles game. This is another game where it really wasn't that much of a shock when the Chiefs absolutely did whatever they wanted to against the Pittsburgh Steelers. In fact, I got so bored of watching this game. I'm gonna be honest. It got to the point where it wasn't even fun anymore, and then the Chiefs were starting to clown with them with Travis Kelce throwing touchdown. We thought thick 6 into this one.
That was a really good play by Allegretti, by the way. That was really athletic.
Right, and besides T.J. Watt's touchdown for the Steelers in the first half, sweet damn, that offense and pretty much that whole game, that Steelers offense looked dead. It looks like, man, what's that movie, Weekend at Bernie's, with Ben Roethlisberger out there as quarterback?
I mean, they got him his last playoff game. He scored a touchdown, I guess.
He was so right in his interview, though, in the week leading up to the game. He was, we don't have a chance. Let's go have fun. I don't even think they had fun.
No, I mean, it seemed like the it seemed like the Chiefs weren't really playing with them, and they're just like, we can kind of do whatever we want here. And then TJ Watt has the fumble return for a touchdown, and that was probably the worst thing that the Steelers could have done for themselves, because they're like, oh, wait, we actually have to score to beat them now. Let me just rip off 42 straight real quick and have it not be at all an issue. But I think the biggest thing we got to worry about here, and you asked what the biggest weakness in the Chiefs was I think it's their starts. Their starts of the game, especially these playoff games, they've had a tendency to come out of the gates extremely cold.
Even like the last couple seasons when the Texans, the Titans, and stuff like that. There's a trend. There's a trend,
and I don't know if that's an Andy Reid trend. I don't know if that's just one of those when you have teams that have that proverbial on-off switch of we want to be good, we don't need to be good. It seems like they kind of take for granted that beginning part of the game, and they just assume that by the end of it, Patrick Mahomes is going to put up 30-plus points and they're going to win. So they need to get out of that. The Titans are so freaking lucky by avoiding the Bills and the Chiefs, who I think are the two best teams in the NFL right now. And it was weird because I think at the beginning of the year, we both had that tendency to flock towards the Bills and the Chiefs as just the two best teams because they have the two best players in the NFL, and Aaron Rodgers is going to say something about that, but it's just on a different level when you have those kind of guys. But, don't get me wrong, Aaron Rodgers is incredible, but I would rather have Patrick Mahomes. I'd rather have Josh Allen. I'm sorry. And those two teams are going to battle it out on Saturday or Sunday whenever they play, and the Titans get to sit back and play the Bengals, and it's going to be just – I think the Bills-Chiefs is the Super Bowl this year. But if the Chiefs start slow again, they're going to be in trouble because the Bills are not going to let up at all.
Well, that's right. The Bills are they get going right off the bat. And like you said, the Chiefs don't really do that. The Steelers definitely have to be playing with a lot more aggressiveness early, I would say. And maybe just more of a will, we need to score. It's not like we can score never. It's we need to. And the Bills' defense is also the best defense in the league. So they definitely can't afford to make those kind of mistakes because it's not like the Steelers have a standout player in TJ Watt who should be winning Defensive Player of the Year this season. And they also have Minka Fitzpatrick because he's also really freaking good. But they got two standout guys. Their defense really as a whole isn't all that great. The Bills' defense don't really have a standout guy, but as a whole, they're the best defense in the league. That's one thing I'm super excited to see. And good thing that Ben Roethlisberger's done playing football. So the Steelers, he's only been holding them back the last couple seasons. And that's 2 seasons in a row now where the Steelers were the farthest thing from deserving of a playoff game.
Yeah.
Both these teams were awful.
And I think that the big thing that you brought up with the Bills defense is they don't have those specific game-breaking pass rushers or ball-hawking defensive backs. But what they do have, and I think which is going to be extremely important, especially against this Chiefs team that we've seen a lot of teams play that too high shell, keep everything in front of them, and do pretty well at it. I think the best part of that Bills defense is their safeties. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are incredible.
Dude, Micah Hyde's pick?
Oh my god, that's like Brian Dawkins or Ed Reed looking stuff. That's middle of the field, beeline it for the pylon and make an incredible high point play.
Look like Jerry Rice catching the ball, man.
Yeah,
you can't even really. Sure, it wasn't a perfect throw by Mac Jones, but by perfect I mean it was literally not a perfect throw.
Yeah,
you can't blame Mac for that one.
I cannot. I don't think that the Chiefs would be able to, or I don't think the Bills would be able to compete in this game at all if they didn't have those two safeties. I think that Poyer is going to be huge because he's going to be the one moving around. He's going to be the one coming down to the box if the Chiefs start to run the ball a little bit. He's going to be the one spying, potentially covering the Travis Kelce's of the world. And then the Micah Hyde in the middle of the field, if he gets beat deep by Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs are going to win. If he can keep those McCole Hardmans, Demarcus Robinson, Tyreek Hill's in front of him for the game, the Bills are going to have a very good shot to win this.
And then the last game of the week, we already talked about it, a game that featured a challenge of a challenge and winning the challenge of a challenge. So that's the NFL making the wrong call and then making it to the right call but realizing even after review, they made the wrong call, and so they make the right call. It
wasn't a catch, AJ Green. That's where it comes down to.
The NFL, man, the NFL is just in such a good state when it comes to officiating. Damn, but really the only thing to talk about this, it was an absolute blowout. The most excitement came from a fight in the stands during the injury timeout for Budda Baker. And just the main question for this, Alex, are the Rams getting better as the season goes on?
No, I don't think they are. I think the Cardinals are atrocious. They're poorly coached. They don't have good discipline. Kyler Murray looked so small out there and just not ready for the moment. I mean,
is that a hype joke or is that just a presence joke?
Honestly, he looks small. Like you don't see small quarterbacks be good in the NFL, and it's just like it looked like the pocket was too big for him. He couldn't get the ball up and over people. He didn't look very fast or very explosive yesterday. The play in the end zone, I mean, what in the world are you doing? And you could see that from a mile away. And even like the fact is if it was like a throw, okay, I see Rondale Moore out there, let me try to get it to him so I don't get the safety, like get it to his feet. You saw him shovel it. He was throwing it sideways and like almost shot putting it. Like he knew what he was doing.
I think it's closer to like a discus, actually.
Yeah,
if we want to be technical,
it wasn't. He wasn't affected by the hit to make it that bad of a throw. He was literally trying to shovel it out into the field of play to Rondale Moore, who's also one of the shortest guys in the field. I have no idea what he's doing. He was not ready for the moment. He looked like, again, he just looked small. He looked like the pocket was too big for him. Whenever he got touched by a defensive end, Von Miller, Gaines, and Aaron Donald up the middle, he went down so easily yesterday. I hated what I saw yesterday from the Cardinals, and I think this is what everyone was so scared of going throughout the year is even though they were the last undefeated team, they just aren't that good. And without Hopkins and without J.J. Watt being healthy, they're an average team. They're not that good.
Right. And the Cardinals, they started off 7-0, and then the rest of the season, including the playoffs, they finished 4-7. Not great.
Not good.
And it's also not great that J.J. Watt dropped albeit a really nice highlight, a little promo package for the game in his return. It got the juices flowing, but then he goes out and gets a quarterback pressure.
Not bad.
JJ, you got to do a little bit better than that. And I had hope on the Cardinals. I had hope that it would at the least be a close game, but it was a flat-out mockery of playoff football, and it really just was not good. Yeah, Matt Stafford that has 2-3 interception games and a 2 interception game the last 3 weeks of the season, and he's clean.
Yeah, I mean, I just really think that the Cardinals had absolutely zero disruption, zero pressure. They didn't do anything to confuse the Rams. The Rams did whatever they wanted to. They really didn't even have, that great of an offense in the first half, but it seemed like whenever they wanted to go on a drive, they could. And Odell, out of nowhere, the last 6 weeks has been a very consistent player, and he's not dropping balls. He's getting open, something I honestly did not expect. I didn't think he still had that kind of difference-making ability, but he's been very good.
Stafford's the key.
Been very good.
Right? Well, at least the wild card weekend, super wild card weekend, it wasn't necessarily the best of football, but I know for a fact that in the divisional round, the best teams are left, and honestly, these are some of the best matchups that we could have hoped to get out of the playoffs, so I'm super excited about that. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hop on in to the next segment because it is the return. Get out your wallets and put in your credit cards at patreon.com/4thlong. But more importantly, get ready to buy or sell because, of course, this fantastic segment is back. And we give it up to Alex whether he's going to buy this statement or he's going to sell it. We got 3 statements on the board today. And, of course, always love it if you guys come on YouTube, Rumble, hit us up on our socials, or best of all, leave a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. Let us know if you're going to buy or sell any one of these 3 statements. But, Alex, starting us off is going to go to your actually, the first series is going to be a part of your Niners and Cowboys game. Dak Prescott the Cowboys cannot win a NFC Championship game as long as Dak Prescott is in Dallas. And right now, if you take a look at it, that's 11 straight playoff appearances for the Dallas Cowboys without a championship game. I think they've gone 22 years now without a championship game appearance, and it's not great.
Not great. I'm going to sell the statement, and it's for a couple reasons here. I'm going to be very clear. It is not because I think that the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott are NFC Championship material. I think it is because their division they play in is atrocious. None of those teams besides the Eagles have a clear path to get to a point where they're competing consistently year over year with the Cowboys. So they already kind of have a built-in first-round playoff game where now they only have to win 2 games, 1 at home, 1 on the road, to get to the conference championship game. So I don't think that it is that far-fetched. And a lot of the quarterbacks that are at the top of the NFC right now, the Tom Brady's, the Aaron Rodgers of the world, they're not going to be there forever. A lot of the good young talent is on the AFC side with the Mahomes and the Burrows and the Josh Allens of the world. So they don't have really that to deal with. And the other really young up-and-coming quarterback, Kyler Murray, looked significantly worse than Dak did coming up. So I think they still have, and their defense is extremely young. Parsons and Trevon Diggs are very, very young and promising players, and they're only going to get better. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do with their coaching staff over the next years. I honestly think they have 3 coaches right now that are all coaching candidates, and none of them are good head coaches at all. I think Kellen Moore is an average offensive coordinator. Dan Quinn is a fantastic defensive coordinator, but not a good head coach. Mike McCarthy is not a good anything, so he's just kind of there as a really good placeholder for Jerry Jones to
at least
put
bring
his
it
hand
back
up.
next year. Sweet damn.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't think the Cowboys are in a position to make the Super Bowl on their own merits, but there's a lot of factors going in their favor, and I don't think it's that far-fetched to think that they're going to make 1 or 2 championship games in the next 5 to 7 years.
I love how you're not pro-Cowboys, you're just anti-NFC.
Yep, that's what it is, and especially anti-NFC East, because they are atrocious.
The NFC East is not going to be good for quite a while. But the next one, flipping sides to the other quarterback at that game, second statement is that Jimmy G can return as the starter for the San Francisco 49ers if he takes them to a Super Bowl this season.
I'm going to sell this statement because I think Jimmy G can return as the starter next year without going to the Super Bowl. I think if they play well, I think if he plays well at Green Bay and he's not the reason they lose, if they lose, he might have a chance to come back. I think if he beats Green Bay, he definitely has a chance to come back. And if he gets to the Super Bowl, he's a lock for sure. But the big things are Jimmy G's contract is not that expensive next year. Him and Trey Lance's contract combined is about what you're paying for an average starting quarterback. So that number is not something that's too significant for them to have to move off of one of those guys. Trey Lance is clearly not ready. He's not the type of guy that was going to come in and plug and play like Kyle Shanahan thought. Does he still have a ton of talent? He's got a massive arm and he runs a 4.4, 640. Yeah, he's got a ton of talent, but he's not polished. He can't read the field, and he's not ready to run Kyle Shanahan's offense. Jimmy G is the perfect quarterback for the Kyle Shanahan offense. And Jimmy G's not, his issue has never been his play. It's always been his health. And he always has those stretches of 6 to 8 games where he can't play. And the Niners go from a Super Bowl contending team to a 4-12 team with Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard that are running the show. So Jimmy G.
Well, no, what am I apologizing? If I'm a Broncos fan, there's still better quarterbacks than what the Broncos have had.
C.J. Beathard was one of the worst. He was not a good quarterback.
Okay,
in
maybe
the Big
Nick
Ten.
Mullins.
Okay, all right, Nick Mullins. Okay, at least Nick Mullins got another starting.
At least that was your third string quarterback and not your starter.
That's very, very true. Drew Lock is probably on the low list of any of those.
Our third string quarterback was a practice squad wide receiver. Damn it!
I mean, yeah, you guys aren't. You're not in the greatest spot, and that's. And
Aaron Rodgers 2022 once they bring in Nate Hackett. Hell yes.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but just to conclude on this Jimmy G point, he's a very, very good quarterback in this Kyle Shanahan system. I think there's a stat with expected yards per play, EPA. It's essentially looking at how good of how much of an impact are you as the quarterback having on your team? Are you above what your expected yards for that play are supposed to be? Are you contributing to your team being successful? And over the last 5 years under Kyle Shanahan, when Jimmy has played, he has been a top 3 quarterback in EPA over that stretch. Number 1 is Patrick Mahomes. Number 2 is Tom Brady. Number 3 is Jimmy G. Number 4 is Aaron Rodgers. If you look at those numbers, he is a very good quarterback when he plays. Perfect for the Shanahan offense. I think he is going to have the job as long as he shows that he's healthy and Trey Lance continues to not show that he is ready.
Fair enough. And a couple other good, positive notes about Jimmy Garoppolo as well. It's a little bit surprising to me as well. Career-wise, he has the second highest winning percentage on the road.
Gosh.
Yeah. Second to only Patrick Mahomes, and you want who's in third place? The OG Joe Cool.
Wow, Joey Montana.
So, realistically,
wow, that's cool.
Jimmy Garoppolo is better on the road than arguably the greatest quarterback of all time.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and then another thing is, he also has the highest career yards per attempt at 8.5.
I think you can thank a lot of that to Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk being monsters with the yak yardage.
Yeah, the yak. I want to see that adjusted for yards before the catch. But Jimmy Garoppolo is a serviceable quarterback, and I will still ride this take because it's 100% correct. There would be 0 questions about Jimmy Garoppolo if he didn't overthrow Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl. That's fact.
Yeah, that's 100% fact. He's
won in the Super Bowl.
But that's Jimmy's MO. He's got a bad throw, a bad throw or two every single game, and if it's at the wrong
why is it always at the perfect time?
It sucks. It's horrible. It's always at the worst
It's almost impressive.
Not fun.
Well, for me, it's impressive. For you, it's depressing.
Yeah.
So
I'd rather be at the dance though than sitting on the sidelines with Drew Lock as your starting quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers, please. Help
Continue.
Even Gardner Minshew, please. But statement number 3, sticking with the NFC West, the Cardinals have to move on from Kliff Kingsbury.
You know what? I'm going to buy this statement. I don't think Kliff Kingsbury is a good coach. The one cause for concern I have is who's out there that's better. But I think the biggest kind of thing you have in the back of your head is you have the most attractive thing in the world, which is a young starting quarterback that has a ton of athleticism and that has a ton of potential. And so you can potentially you just have the ability to attract.
Not just him, just a good roster all around as well. You got stars in almost every position.
Yeah, so you have a good roster. You get to live in Arizona. You're a very attractive coaching position. I don't think...
have we seen Kliff Kingsbury's house?
Seriously. I mean,
dude.
Maybe that's part of the contract.
He's in the desert and has a fireplace.
Yeah,
a fire pit.
His fire pit had a fire pit. It was crazy. I mean, it's just I just don't think your ceiling is high with Kliff Kingsbury, and especially with the way that McVay and Kingsbury matched up yesterday. You think of those guys as very similar coaches. You know, the younger, offensive-minded, little unproven when they got into the role, but have had a little bit of success on the back of good quarterbacking. And I just don't think that Kliff Kingsbury has what it takes to get you over the next hump. And I think the Cardinals are ready to make the jump from a middling, going to lose in the first round every single year playoff team to what do they need to do to become an all-around better team? They need to be more disciplined. They need to be a little deeper. And when DeAndre Hopkins gets out of the game, you don't just completely have an offense dissolve. And so I think that they can do better than Kliff Kingsbury. So I think it is time to move on, because if not now, then if the league figures out Kyler another year and he doesn't look good this year, it's going to be a lot harder to fill that coaching vacancy. So you want to get someone in there that's going to work with Kyler a little bit better than what Kliff has done. Kliff's been awesome for him, but again, I think you've topped out what you can with this team.
And it's been interesting because this is now his third full season with the team. He started back in 2019. His first season with the team, he went 5-10-1. That tie coming with the Detroit Lions. Last year, they went 8-8 and barely missed out of the playoffs because he lost a late season game to the Chicago Bears, who ended up taking that 7th seed. And now they finally make the playoffs with him, but that was after a horrible second half of the season, capped off with the cherry on top with a just abysmal playoff performance. You got to do something there. The thing is, it's trending in the upward direction, so that's what's going to keep him tied there, is because we're seeing a trend, we're seeing positive, but I think as soon as that record dips, as soon as like the whole trend dips, he might be packing his bags and going back to college football. And it's crazy how Sean McVay is the kind of coach that kind of brought Kliff Kingsbury into the league, but he might also be the one that just put the nail in his coffin of his NFL coaching career. I love irony. It's such a good way to tell stories.
It makes everything make sense.
Which is one thing I really ask for the NFL every single week, is just make it make sense. Which is something they're doing a really bad job of, especially when it comes to the officiating. Oh boy. But that's going to do it for a buy or sell, of course, with those 3 statements. Let us know if you're going to buy it or sell it as well, if you agree with Alex, if you wholeheartedly disagree with him, if you want to call him a scrub that lives in his mom's basement even though he lives in his own apartment. That's probably, given where you're living, it's probably more expensive than a house.
Yep. It's about the size of a basement and costs more than a house. Love it.
Oh boy. Yeah, we got that going, but let us know about that. We're going to move into one of the last parts of the show, ladies and gentlemen, and that is What the Blank with Alex. I know his name doesn't work as good as Blake's does with our UFC talk because, What the Blank with Blake just rolls off so well.
That's why I got to overcompensate with a lot of just wildly abusive takes.
Alex, here we go. One sec. I just had an epiphany because I love my puns. I love my play on words. I love my entendres, with all my naming mechanisms and stuff. Your nickname, AK. Shooting blanks.
I love it.
Is that the one?
I love it.
Is that the one?
It's not something I have a lot of experience with, but
exactly. I was like, I don't want it. Is it an insult?
But
yeah, maybe.
I'm okay. I'm okay with the play on words because it works so freaking well. I love it.
I am a genius, Alex. Okay. Oh, this is great. The moment you come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going into What the Blank. We're going into Shooting Blanks with Alex.
Incredible. Yes. I love it. Let's do it.
Oh, what a show. You guys are witnessing genius live.
That's called a peek behind the curtains, folks.
And which is, I like to give you guys, I'm not, I like to give you guys peeks behind the curtain just because, I don't really give a shit about the curtain.
I've never been a curtains guy either.
Yeah, no, I'm more of a drapes kind of guy.
Oh, there you
go. Even though I really need to put some curtains up in my bedroom.
You seem like a tapestry kind of guy.
Well, are you talking about that sexy wall tapestry?
That's what I'm talking about.
Buy over at thefourthinlaw.com. There we go. Oh, boy. Also, I have flags everywhere. Also, shout out to that John Elway jersey, the sexy signed jersey that I'm staring at on my wall right now. When I go to sleep, I take one last look at John Elway and think about the times that I never knew we had, but that I could have.
But they were there.
Also, they were there. They were there. And technically, I was alive in... Wait, no, I wasn't alive. Damn it, I'm too young. But let's get on with it because we're going to Shooting Blanks. Of course, if you guys don't know, this fun segment, I got 3 statements, and Alex, there is going to be a blank in either part of these statements. It's up to him to fill it in with anything that he wants. Could be a word, could be a sound, it could be a sentence, it could be an entire essay. But it's really up to him and his thonking brain right there. But statement number one, Alex, the most disappointing performance this week was blank.
It was the Arizona Cardinals. It wasn't anyone else. I mean, you had the Pittsburgh Steelers be completely inept for 50 minutes on offense, and the Philadelphia Eagles forget to show up in Tampa Bay. And the most disappointing performance by far was the Cardinals. This team at one point was the last undefeated team we had in the NFL. People were anointing them as one of the Super Bowl favorites this year, and Kyler was so dynamic, and Kliff Kingsbury was running this tight ship, and everything was turning around. And you look back, and they went 4-6 over their last 10 games, and get absolutely trounced. 28. I mean, it was 28-0 at one point. 31, is it 34-11 was their final score? It just wasn't pretty.
They messed up the scoregami. We can't even get scoregami, damn it.
No, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just they embarrassed themselves as a playoff team. I think Kyler Murray significantly hurt his stock here and hurt his trajectory going up because he just looked completely inept out there. And it's gonna take some time and some Band-Aids and maybe even some Neosporin to get me back on the Arizona Cardinals train, because they just did look so bad on Monday.
Also, if you want to go from last 7, it might just take a new head coach. So that's how you win Alex's heart back, because of course his opinion is one of the only two that matter. Yeah. No. You still got me, but I'm giving you a lot of credit. All right, that's the most I'll give you. All right, I will give you.
It rounds up though, So it is.
Alex, I will give you. I'm being generous right now. 55%.
I'm telling you, that still rounds up to 100. So.
Jeez.
I'm not a math major, but I just rounded. Sorry.
Wasn't your mom a principal? You think, even though she wasn't necessarily a teacher, she
taught me to round. I rounded up.
Hundreds only.
Sorry, dude. You just dug your own grave. That sucks.
Yeah, I guess so. Damn, let's move on. Statement number 2. Blank is the best non-number 1 seed left.
Who do you think I'm going to say?
Well, the lips showed a B, but I think you're trying to throw us off. I think you're going with the Chiefs.
It's the Buffalo Bills. They're so freaking fun to watch.
So I was overthinking. Very nice.
I mean, I was playing your mind against you there, but
damn,
Josh
happens
Allen.
too often.
I think Josh Allen, at his best, is the best player in the NFL, and he just brings something to the offense that, especially in Kansas City in a January 25th or 24th game, whenever they do play, it's going to be cold up there. And Josh Allen is built for those kind of games. And clearly their offense is built for those kind of games, as long as it's not, gale force winds that's causing them to, not be able to kick the ball, and you can't throw it any further down the field than 20 yards. But the most dangerous team in the NFL right now is the Buffalo Bills. They have the best unit, I think, left in the NFL, which is that defense. The defense is the number 1 defense in the NFL, and they have the best player in the NFL, I think. So that combination is, paired with a team that just, exercised their demons twice against the Patriots, and have a great head coach. It's just
smash the Patriots twice. I think there's 13 straight drives that had a touchdown against the Patriots.
Something nuts. You take out you take out the kneels, and it's 12 or 13 straight touchdown drives from the Bills. It's against the Patriots. It's just
shout out to Mitch Trubisky for getting his first playoff action and his first win. First playoff win. Sorry,
Mitch Trubisky is going to have a starting quarterback opening next year. He is going to get a look for a starting quarterback position next year in the NFL.
Brian Daboll just saved his career.
Mark my words. He saved his career by being on the team. That's nuts. He's actually, there's been talk of he's going to get looks for a starting quarterback job. It's just crazy.
That's a testament to the Bills, but that's also extreme detriment to the god awfulness of Matt Nagy and the Chicago Bears. just not great. But the last statement of the week is, of course, there's now a new alternate cast. I'll let Alex give his thoughts on this one first because I blank the Nickelodeon Gamecast.
I admire the Nickelodeon cast. I don't think it is a job many NFL analysts grow up to really want to call a game on Nickelodeon where you have teams running into the end zone filled with green slime and the ball with an orange paintball that's flying through the air and wicking away paint as it goes. It's just I can't believe that the NFL is actually doing it. I do actually think it's an incredible idea because getting the young kids involved like that and
it's better than what baseball is trying to do for their dying audience.
Yeah, it's just they're trying. So I admire Nate Burleson. I admire those guys that are on the Nickelodeon cast, and part of me also kind of fears that Nickelodeon cast too because I saw something on Sunday that I've never seen before on an NFL field, and the Niners were driving in the middle of the second quarter, and out of nowhere their whole team got completely slimed. And they didn't even seem like they were fazed by it. They didn't slow down once. They just got drenched with this green, yucky slime, and they still went down and scored a touchdown that drive. I was perplexed.
The ball security in the slime. You think they ran those drills in practice?
Yeah. You ever heard of a monsoon game? Try a slime game.
No, I gotta be honest with the whole Nick cast. I gave it a shot for like 5 minutes and I understand its purpose, and I understand that I'm not the target audience for that. So
It'll be the
I'm
last
not
time
just
I watch it, that's for sure. But
I watched it for about 5 minutes, and everything was explained so basically.
Yeah.
But trying to like over just it. I was watching. I was just like, oh, this. I couldn't watch it for more than 5 minutes. It sucked to listen to. Matt, like you said, credit to where credit's due for the play-by-play guys be able to speak in that fashion, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, Alex. I had to get back to Tony Romo because also Tony Romo is the best color commentator in the game, hands down.
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. He's the man.
Was it him and Phil Simms? No, Jim Nantz.
Oh, Jim Nantz and I don't know, Jim. Yeah, I don't know, Jim. That's just
exactly.
It's Jim and Tony.
Honestly, I love Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, the best duo when it comes to commentating football games, hands down. Better than Collinsworth and Al Michaels, absolutely. Because I don't have to hear. Now here's a guy every 5 freaking minutes.
You're missing the number one combo.
Who?
They're a Fox combo. And it's not the main one that you're thinking of.
Oh, it's not.
They usually on a typical Sunday afternoon they would have like a they would have like a Jets Washington game, or they'd have like a Detroit Baltimore game, just like
who are those guys? Damn.
Johnson and Aqib Talib is the best NFL announcing duo there is. If they were to announce a playoff game, I would be over the moon excited. I
like Aqib. He's freaking hilarious, dude.
Aqib is the boy, bro. He's just like lays it all out there. He's just like he's talking to like his buddies on this couch commentating these games. He does not care at all. It's incredible.
I'm going to miss the Manning cast. Like that stuff is good, especially when you got Big Man saying shit on live TV.
Yeah, you gotta have to get a good guess with them.
Yeah. Them and The Rock weren't too bad last night.
Not bad at all.
Russell Wilson, not too bad. Like their cast is typically good, except for the Manning curse, which I'm impressed by, that in the span of just even half a season, it became a legitimate thing.
Yeah, it's real, dude. It's the new Madden curse.
That's what happens when you got Super Bowl winners in Peyton Manning and Eli Manning there. Greatness happens. They can make curses out of nothing. It
happens.
If I was a coach, like I would not let any of my players or staff step anywhere near that show during the season.
Yeah, no,
absolutely not.
Absolutely no chance. That's a no-fly zone.
It's worse than the Madden curse.
It's significantly worse.
Yeah. unless you're Peyton Hillis, and then nothing is worse than the Madden curse. But there we go. Shooting blanks with AK. Sweet damn, that's just so good. Nice. All right, man. It's been great, but we're going to cap things off, ladies and gentlemen, with, of course, the Nene of the week. And I truly felt bad for this guy. I was picking his defense on Twitter because it's not easy to have to sprint, 20 yards, 30 yards because you're lined up behind the ball in time. And now you're blamed for the Cowboys' loss, especially Dak Prescott. The back judge for the Cowboys and Niners game, he deserves none of the blame, and I feel bad for him that he is getting the blame, and he got trash on him just because the Cowboys and Dak Prescott made a mistake. It wasn't his fault. So the Nene of the week goes to him, but like I said, just about the Cowboys, him winning the award is not his fault.
Mm-mm. And if you watch the tape, actually, that ref took a beeline for the line. He was moving, dude. The entire time. He did his job exactly as fast as he could have, and the Cowboys screwed that up. If Dak doesn't get in his way and run into him as he's leaving and try to set the ball off, it's his fault. Completely.
Yeah. I'm sorry that guy in the sweatpants who's not necessarily like an athlete shape, probably I'm guessing around his 40s or 50s, he had a hell of a 40 time, all right. Better than Tom Brady could ever do.
You want to talk about a guy that's going to be in the ice bath after the game. It's going to be that ref. Dude was hauling.
Dude, that was probably the performance of that game if you're not talking about Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Just really great stuff there. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in this week to our super I want to do like the whole, remember like the pro wrestling or the monster truck, the super wild card.
Yeah.
Wild card week. I need sound effects. It was a crazy one filled with a couple of really good games and then a lot of really crap games, but still a lot to take out of it. And also just most importantly, Alex, congrats. You did well on the first show back. There's no ring rust on you. And
I was worried about
it. The rest of the playoffs are just going to be even that much more of a treat now, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, baby.
Woo! But, ladies and gentlemen, the place to catch us out, thefourthlong.com or NFL thefourthlong.com/NFL. Patreon. I love our supporters. They're the best. You can find us at patreon.com/fourthlong. Shouts to biggest owner, Ray Rodriguez. For all your card collecting needs, go on over to Instagram, follow at the Big Bat Box. Of course, shout out to him as well because every other Friday, he is a card expert in the industry and he brings us card songs every other week. You want to go ahead and check that one out as well because we're in the business of making you money. And as well, just make sure to check out all of our stuff. UFC Talk 74 comes out this week, going into the first pay-per-view of the year, UFC 270. A crazy one. You don't want to miss that. But Alex, your thoughts on Super Wildcard Weekend in one word or phrase?
Everyone cherish playoff football. That's all you need.
I think that's a shot at me, but it's okay. It is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see all of you after what looks like the best round of playoffs that we're going to see for a while.